This is the Saver's Paradox, and I'm going to tell you a little story about a little guy called Dave. When Dave was 4 years old, he started his first day of school. At around 11 a.m., it was snack time, and all the kids were running around, opening their lunch boxes. Dave was a little bit shy and nervous, and his mother packed him his favourite snack, two Pop-Tarts with extra sprinkles and that beautiful frosting on top. Dave couldn't devour the first one quick enough. His stomach was growling horrendously. After staring down at the second Pop-Tart, something came in his head. He was weighing up present satisfaction to the future hunger. It was the first time he's realised he's saving Earth for later versus devouring it all now. After a bit of pain and a bit of ache, he's looked up at the clock. 2.5 hours until his next lunch break. Dave's mum and dad lived paycheck to paycheck, so some days were only one snack days. But Dave was used to this. So, with reluctance, he looked at his favourite snack, put it back in his lunchbox, and waited till later. This was Dave's first ever encounter with the saving Earth versus wanting it whole. But it won't be his last encounter. As Dave started growing up, around the age of 8, his mother and father would give him odd jobs to do for little pocket money. Dave's hunger grew. He quickly realised that if he saved his pocket money, he'd be able to buy the best games or use it to go on great adventures with his friends. Dave couldn't do enough dishes, put away the laundry, tidy his room. Around the age of 11, it wasn't quite enough to satisfy him. Dave used to knock at his neighbours' houses, asking for any odd job that needed doing, whether it was the bins, mowing the lawn, or even sweeping the yard. Dave done it all. As he entered high school, his next major focus was schoolwork. He was very diligent at this, but he quickly learned that just being diligent doesn't always mean you're the best. And he would run home from school to then start with the odd jobs again. He was the wealthiest 11-year-old you have ever seen. As Dave started progressing through school, his schoolwork started falling behind. He started to put more and more pressure on himself to create more and more part-time work. By the age of 16, he would do odd jobs for neighbours, drop newspapers, collect milk bottles, and he even got a part-time job as a store clerk in a local pet shop. Dave quickly noticed that for the amount of effort he was putting in, he would be better just to stick with C's and B's in school, because he never thought he'd be a doctor or an engineer. Do you know those prestigious jobs that your mother and father would be proud of? But he quickly knew that pure hustle and grind was the way forward to get money. As Dave graduated from school, he never wanted to go to college. He quickly got an eye for salesmanship. He was the best at selling dog food. But that was not going to make him wealthy. So at the age of 18, he went to the local car garage, where he enrolled as an apprentice salesman. Dave quickly climbed the ranks, and he started to realise just saving money for a rainy day is not the best option. And this is where he started investing aggressively. Dave was quite safe though. He did put most of his investments in index funds. He had a retirement account he was paying into, and he had a rainy day fund for days. Dave quickly pushed on to be the leading manager of this garage. However, this wasn't enough for Dave, and by the age of 32, he owned his own property. He had 2 rentals on the side, was a manager of a construction firm, and had an investment portfolio that many would be jealous of. He was a self-made millionaire, and you know what? At this point, he could have retired. Throughout his career, Dave had pushed off going out with friends, hanging out with family, and his group of 10 to 20 whittled down to 3 or 4. But what did Dave do? As a self-made millionaire at the age of 30, he did not want to give up. He thought, I have a passion for finance, and he knew he was shining. So he thought he would document his journey on social media. Dave quickly made a YouTube channel where he gained a few followers, with passionate young people that always commended Dave and were so happy with his help. Dave started doubling down and striking while the iron was hot. He noticed he was getting a little bit heavier, so he started focusing more on the mind and body. The gym, he was getting that little bit older, so the supplements started rolling in. After 3 years, Dave realized he was making more money from social media than it was worth him staying as a construction manager. But what did Dave do? He knew he could create a second channel, or even a third. So he retired from his job and went hell for leather. He was still cracking the supplements day and night, and he thought he was unstoppable. However, his friendship group had more or less whittled down to 0. His mother and father passed, but Dave had podcasts scheduled on these days. And Dave's life was all about optimizing all opportunities, whether it was work, health, knowledge. He didn't miss a day. His mother and father passed, and Dave could not attend. At the age of 37, while opening one of his many supplements, he noticed a slight weakness in his wrist. Dave never went to the doctor, but he thought, you know what? This is affecting my optimized life, so I may as well go down. He made an appointment with the local doctor, and of course Dave had to be quick. He ran into the doctor, and after a few tests, he came back with quite a minor diagnosis: carpal tunnel syndrome. His nerves were being compressed in his wrist, and he had weakness and aching. The doctor recommended that he optimized his workspace. But of course, Dave had never optimized his workspace. He still had his grandfather's sofa. His desk was still his school desk. His chair was a dining chair. And of course, he didn't have screens. He was using a laptop. And oh yeah, his mouse, it came from Walmart. So Dave thought, I may as well treat myself. He took some of his rainy day fund and he went all out. At the fine age of 37, he decided he was getting dual monitors, he was getting an ergonomic chair, big desk, lights. Dave was going all out. After a few weeks of pain and struggle, Dave started adapting to this vertical mouse he was soon using, and he was going quicker than ever, firing away at his content, until one day, after a very long podcast, he noticed he was very, very thirsty, and he decided to jump up to get a drink. However, on this occasion, he couldn't jump up. His knees felt weak. His mind was going, but his body wasn't. his shoulders aching, and he felt quite breathless. His heart felt like a ticking alarm clock. Dave was worried, but again, he thought this will pass. After a few more episodes of this occurring, Dave decided for the first time in his life to take a day off. He lay in bed. Waking up the next morning, he was gasping with the thirst. He couldn't get his way out of bed, and he thought this was it. He rang the emergency services, and he got rushed into hospital. The next we heard from Dave was a YouTube post. My diagnosis, the big C. Dave looked whitewashed. He looked weak. No editing on the videos. And barely able to get the words out. I have 1 to 3 months to live. I spent my life optimizing my work, putting off social gatherings, putting my finances first, and pushing for the future. I don't know when the next time I speak to you will be, but I hope this isn't my last. Dave clicked off the video and decided the only way to go about this is positive thinking. It's what everyone's talking about. However, he had no one to rely on. His friends were non-existent. He had no family anymore. He had no wife, no kids. He never had time for it. And he thought to himself, I've got what I'm given. Dave, a few days later, put up a second video. This time titled, The Future Cannot Hurt Me Now. In this, Dave outlined his plan ever since he was young. To strive towards this future. To chase this endless goal of this perfect life that he could never really idolize. He didn't know what it looked like. Did anyone know what it looked like? He wanted to make people proud. He wanted to have all the friends in the world. He wanted to go on all these holidays. But he outlined why do we think we can suddenly go from 40 years of a saving mindset, pinching every last penny, drinking coffee at home, making packed lunches, just to one day the switch get flicked and we're going into spending mode and no longer worry about saving. Dave ended this video and said, I think this will be my last. I no longer have the energy. I may give up. As Dave closed his computer for one last time, he leant back in his wheelchair, pulled down his oxygen mask. He was still feeling a bit hungry. He pulled a box from under his desk. And what was it? His favourite lunchbox that his mum had got him. And encased inside were 2 Pop-Tarts. Extra frosting. Extra sprinkles. Dave devoured one, looking down at the second, and decided, let me just save that for later.